Do we want to try this again? Hi, everyone. Welcome to Waking Up. Um, I'm Anna, and my co-host Sean. He has had some real life, like life is kicking, pretty much kicking everybody in Team AOA in the balls. I wish there was a nicer way of putting that, but there's not. There's not. It's pretty much just life is going, hey, you guys are over here like, healing and doing the refreshing shit. I know real life is kicking us in the teeth for reals though. But hello, I am Anna and this is Waking Up. Usually I have my co-host Sean with me, also known as Pep Pep. But this is our podcast where we talk religious trauma, mental health, and just real life and being human. So let me go through this disclaimer so that we can get through um this show. I I don't- it's gonna I don't even know where this one's going to go today, folks, but here I am. So here on Waking Up, we're not here to bash anyone's faith or religion. We think faith and religion are beautiful things when done in a mentally and emotionally healthy manner. We are not licensed professional. I am not a licensed professional by any stretch of the imagination. Anything said on this podcast is our own personal thoughts, beliefs. They are not to be used in any type of capacity in replacing a true mental health care professional. However, if you are in need, sorry, I'm going to pull out my, oh my gosh, except it's going to be difficult. Everything's being difficult today. What the fuck? Okay, I was gonna pull out my footrest so I can put it on here because I hurt my ankle last weekend. If you do need help from a true mental health professional, we do have information that will help you find a healthcare professional in your area. So all you have to do is message us via the Discord and the Team AOA Discord, and we will be glad to get you that information. Sean and I both grew up in the Bible Belt, both in the Carolinas, in the 90s, 80s, 90s, early aughts. Um, we grew up there. That was prime Billy Graham time and territory. We both grew up Southern Baptist, which, for those of you who don't know, Southern Baptist is a conservative evangelical denomination of the Protestant Christian faith. Um, yeah, which, as we often say on here, we didn't think that they could get much more. We didn't think they could get much worse, and then they surprise us. It's great. Hi, Gaming Wolf. So yeah, and both Sean and I have been doing this mental health journey for a while now. We do not have it figured out. I do not have it figured out. However, I would like to say, because my therapist is encouraging me to look at positive things in my life. I do have to say we have learned a lot. We have grown a lot. We have changed a lot, and I am very appreciative of that. I am very grateful that the hard works, the fruits of my labor are paying off because, as I often say, healing fucking sucks. And actually, as my therapist would say, yes, and I've become one of those people that, as my therapist says, because fuck, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself whatsoever. So, healing sucks. And doing the right thing sucks, and being healthy and making the right choices and the healthy choices is, especially when you suffer from CPTSD and trauma and all of those things. It's not fun. It's not fun. And here we are. So yeah. Um, Okay. So I wasn't quite sure because Sean's still in the transition of trying to get ready to move and all of these things. So I was pseudo mentally preparing to do this solo since last weekend we were at Con Carolinas. Yay. Which was great. It was a lot of fun. Con Carolinas is always amazing. The people are amazing. I was so happy to see everyone that we see every year. So picking the healthy choice is fine. Right, Sean? Good, because the urge to pick the unhealthy ones is so freaking real, but I'm not, and it's growth. That's growth. The fact that I can recognize that the thoughts and the actions are unhealthy and I'm choosing the opposite of that are great. But, um, yes, we didn't stream the past couple of weeks, only because we were doing con stuff and was a lot of fun. But we did our whirlwind of 2 weeks of con, and now we are back into our regularly scheduled programming. Hopefully, um, yeah. Pep, are you still doing your Lego stream tonight while you're here? I just thought I'd ask. So while I'm waiting on that answer, okay. So as you guys can tell by the title of this episode is "You Are Here," and it's like I'm sure some of you are wondering what PTG means. PTG means post traumatic growth. This is something I found very, very interesting because there is a lot of things going on in my life, a lot of very serious, very difficult, very hard things going on in my life right now. And a lot of people and a lot of people have been saying, well, and a lot of people have been using this phrase in the most unhealthy way, but whatever. I'm not gonna judge. I'm just gonna sit here with it. And probably no Lego stream tonight. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Well, maybe we'll do a gaming stream tonight with the hatchlings, and we'll see. But so you are here. So all of us have seen like those maps, like either at the mall if you're of a certain age, or at a truck stop, or at any place like amusement park, etc. It's like you are here, and you open it up, and it shows you. I mean, nowadays they have those like online digital ones that like geo track you. I'm like, I mean, that helps me out, but it's just showing you where you are at that very moment. You are right here, and it's sort of showing you where you are in relation to the bigger picture, right? So post-traumatic growth is something that actually has been researched. It's by I'm gonna butcher these names, Tedeschi and Calhoun. They did a research. I know we're getting all freaking like actual scientific here. In 1996 about post-traumatic growth, and it was fascinating. And it's something I'm sort of trying to look at and approach in my life, because like I said, there's a lot of things going on. And so many people here lately have said, well, now you can start over. Now you can have a fresh start. Now you can start fresh. You don't have to worry about any of that. Um, and as great as that sounds, as it's one of those, it's almost like, as great as that sounds, like, thoughts and prayers, or another example is, as great as it, you can start over, you can start new, you can make different choices. You can't ever start over. You can't. You can't. Because starting over, starting fresh, starting new, and acting like, and here's where the unhealthy comes in that mindset, acting like not like the past didn't happen is one, not taking accountability for anything that you did, especially when they say you can make different choices because of the choices that you made that may or may not have hurt yourself or may or may not hurt other people. And also is acting like none of that existed. But the fact of the matter is, for anybody who has hurt other people, who has suffered from trauma, who has suffered from anything, difficult, and has had to rebuild themselves, you can't ignore what has happened in the past. That doesn't start you from growth. And here's the part that really sucks for me. It really, really sucks for me is that you had to grow as a person, to grow as to become mentally healthy, to become emotionally stable, to become a person that you are proud to look in the mirror, to any of those things, a healing person. You you got to acknowledge the shit that that happened to you. You have to know th- this is what it is. And I think acting like let me put it this way, navigating from a place of reality versus navigating from a place of, well, I'm going to pretend that stuff didn't happen to me. Because the honestly, if you're going to grow, you've got to acknowledge that people hurt you. You have to hold yourself accountable for you hurting other people. You have to acknowledge the behaviors, and you have to acknowledge the pain, and you have to I think we left stable. We did. We left stable a few exits back. I'm way more stable now than I ever have been in my entire life. And that is fucking growth. And that is something I've worked very, 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 very hard at, where I am now responsive instead of reactive. I work very hard to not work from a place of trauma, which wouldn't have happened had I just gone, well, the past is still in the past is the past. We just I will just start over and be someone new. And I can't. I can't. That's not possible. So I also have to also acknowledge, and that whole post traumatic growth, and that where I am is being in the present. um it's not necessarily I am concentrating on the past, and I'm concentrating on the trauma, and I'm concentrating that, or am I concentrating on the future? It's, as one of my really good friends says, I had to zoom out. I had to zoom out and really look as everything as a whole, my past plus my present and my future, and what my past and my present will determine what my future looks like. The choices I made. And how do you learn? Like, that's the thing, is like, I fucking hate it. Okay. Pretending it never happened is sticking the head in the sand. It happened. It affected us. We decide what to do with it. Right. And it's like, it's denying accountability. It's denying, it's like, oh, well, that was in the past. I don't want to. It's like, yeah, be freaking accountable, and then myself included. Like, I did things in the past that I was not proud of. For example, I talk about my dark 20s. Um, what I'm realizing now, which if I hadn't done the trauma work, what I'm realizing now, my dark 20s was, because I was in such a bad emotional, mental state, and I was just I didn't have the coping mechanisms. I didn't have the healing language. I didn't have my tools. There was no such thing as a toolkit. There was no such thing as mental health. There was just me I was raw dogging life, and I was getting screwed every 6 ways to Sunday. And I was in a bad, dark place. So what I would do, instead of, like, I didn't do drugs, I didn't, drink myself to death. What I did was I went through relationships. My drug of choice was the cortisol and limerence phase of being in relationships. And what happened is that I started going through these people, I started attaching to these people, and then the moment the drug ran dry, the moment the limerence wore off, the moment the dopamine wore off, I would just discard and go to somebody else. And that's not okay. And I hurt a lot of people. And just because I was chasing, I was using it to try to heal an attachment wound, and the trauma of neglect, doesn't make it okay. I am 100% accountable for those actions that I did. However, now that I know, and I have done the work, and I know what that was. I know what I was doing. I was accountable for what I was doing. And I also, if you if you want to know, which is the shittiest part of it all, is I have contacted some of these people, or whenever there was a chance meeting with one of these people, and I went, you know, I was really shitty. And I'm really sorry. And that doesn't take away from what I did. And I am a different person now, but I understand that what I did hurt you. And you don't have to do anything. I'm not looking to disrupt your life, but I just want you to know that I acknowledge that even though I was hurting and I wasn't coming from a place of pain, that I inflicted more pain onto you, which is hard. But you can only do that when you're not ignoring the trauma. When you're not pretending like I can just freaking start over. Now, is starting over, does the idea of starting fresh, like a new relationship or a new job or a new place of living or whatever, does that sound, it sounds great. And in theory, it sounds amazing. And a lot of people do. Hi, Papa Rooks. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Um, but a lot of people like do try to like, oh, that part of my life doesn't exist. I'm not that person anymore. I'm different now. I'm different. And like, oh, okay, you may be different, but if you're not growing and taking accountability and growing from the trauma, you're going to be more likely to make the same mistakes. And that sucks. That sucks because God knows. God knows, I do not find it pleasant to, I don't find it pleasant sitting and, acknowledging the things that I did that hurt other people. Actually, like, I wanna cry about it right now because that's how much I fucking hate it. Um, and it sounds great, and everybody just wants to start over. I just don't wanna think about it. I don't How many of us have been in there where we're just like, "I'm gonna start over. I don't wanna think about it. I don't wanna talk about it. It just brings up too much pain." Now, yes, if your healthcare professional says, "Hey, this is too damaging for you right now, we don't have to talk about it." There are all sorts of, safe ways to, maybe you don't wanna talk about it right now, but knowing in the back of your head that eventually you're going to have to confront that part of yourself. It's all about what your healthcare professional, again, always, 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 always listen to your therapist, always, or whatever healthcare professional you have, always, um, because they know you. If you're being honest with them, if you are being completely honest with them, they're going to know what the best course of action is for you. Um, so sometimes you put it on the back shelf, but it's not possible. If you want to move forward, if you want to grow, new chapter using tools that they just looted. Right. Boo boo. I roll for every, I say roll for just dexterity to get out of bed correctly. um as great as that whole cultural narrative of just starting fresh, the phoenix rising from the ashes, like the burn it down, that was my past. I won't think about my past. Uh, It's like going, okay, we're going to stuff everything in this closet, lock the door. And as long as nobody opens the closet, the house is clean, right? That's the problem with the new year, new me. Exactly. And actually that's in my notes, the new year, new me perspective. Like, "Oh, we're just gonna start over. It's gonna be a new me. It's a new life. It's a new relationship. I don't." But and as heartwarming and as great as that sounds, that's not growth. That's not growth. That's not accountability. And honestly, it's the chicken shit way out. And I'm going to say it. I'm not a healthcare professional. And again, I said at the beginning, this is my personal opinion. I think that the whole idea of the past is in the past, let's not talk about it, is dodging accountability for yourself and for the people around you. It's the I'm starting over. I'm not gonna like it doesn't matter. It's all in the past. I'm sorry. That shit is going to follow you. That shit's gonna follow you. And it's one of those, then you end up if it's like, okay, and we're talking about the metaphor or the comparison of you are here, that map, right? You are here. If you do not pay attention and you do not note to yourself, okay, this is the same tree. I've seen this before. I know where this going. You just end up walking in circles. And what is a circle? A circle is that nice little traumatic cycle that you just keep putting yourself in. It's that cycle of why do I keep dating the same type of people in my life? Why do I keep putting myself in the same type of situations? Why do I keep making the same choices even though I know it hurts me? Because you're not fucking paying attention on where you've been. You you got to know where you've been to point yourself, "Hi, Paragon. I don't know where here is or if I want to be here." I'm so glad. It was so great seeing you last weekend, Paragon. And yeah, and that holds fucking true. Is I am here. I don't know where I am. I don't know even if I want to be here, but here I am. And it's that acceptance that is difficult. Um and that acceptance of this is where I am. And maybe sometimes we're in a place that we don't want to be. And that's okay. That's okay. But you are here. You are here right now. And you can lament over all of the bad choices and you can do all these things, yes. Or you can grow from them. You can go, okay, I am here. I don't want to be here and I don't want to move forward and continue to spin my wheels and stay here. So what do I have to do? And so what you have to do is first off, you got to know where you've been. And that's hard. Because none of us, well, I don't know, some people are like those emotional masochists who want to sit in victim mode and want to be the victim. I certainly don't. I certainly, the last person I want to be is a victim. I mean, I am a victim of some of people's like abuse and neglect and et cetera and so forth. But I'm not, I'm a survivor less than, I consider myself a survivor less than a victim because victimhood is just like, I don't know. Some people like that. Look at it. I don't they were all mean to me. Everything is bad. Everything is bad. Okay? So, if everything is bad, then what choices do you make to make them good or even better or grow or learn? Um oh, and this line right here is when we believe the fresh start, the starting over story, we treat our past and we treat all of the things that we experienced and we treat our trauma as something to escape from instead of integrate in who we are. And what to get from here to there. My favorite flavor of ice cream. um, but for true change, for true growth to happen. Okay, hold on. I'll get to your question because my ADD. If I get to your question, like Paragon, I will forget. But to get to true change and growth as a person, you can't. You can't sit there. Well, okay, I say you can't. I don't. I don't see it as continuously moving forward, you have to embrace everything that makes you who you are. You have to acknowledge that the trauma that happened to you or the trauma that you inflicted on others exists. It exists. And when it comes down to it, it exists and it has made you and put you where you are right now. And where the growth happens is acknowledging that you can't change the past, accepting that. Also, taking accountability for your actions and actually using that part as a jumping off point to move yourself forward. So many people want to try to move themselves forward by just, okay, I'm just going to ignore the past and I'm just going to move myself forward by just, embracing everything that makes me feel good. That's not real growth. That's avoidance. You're just going to end up circling back and being right where you were because you haven't acknowledged what put you where you were in the first place. Am I saying that you should always feel like shit? No, you have to feel like shit and grow through the shit to grow into a better person. There's just no way around it. There's no over, there's no around. You have to go through the shit. And you can't go through the shit by pretending that the shit doesn't happen. And yes, I've said shit like multiple times, but that's the truth. It helps when everyone. Okay, so let me look at Paragon's question. While you are here and you may be lamenting or maybe attempting to grow from your past and your memories and such, what do you feel is a good way to do it while you're not trying to be a victim? But you may also feel yourself to be the source of the pain. And that is a very good question and one that I'm still working through. Is built you now. Exactly, Blue Lily. I want to remind everyone here, and I also Paragon to sort of answer in a non mental health person from my point of view, as a personal point of view. Two things can exist in the same space. Remember that. You can have been hurt and also been somebody who has hurt somebody else at the same time. And it's accepting that. That is one of those, it moves you forward in a very painful way. Um, and it's also taking accountability for what you have done, but also, and, and also acknowledging that not everything that has happened is your fault. And that is incredibly difficult for me because I was taught it was black or white. It was either my fault or their fault. And 9 times out of 10, for those of us who are black sheep, you convince yourself you were the one that was always 100% at fault. And that's very, very difficult. And I still struggle with that. And especially with a lot of the situations and the things that I've been going through in the past few months, understanding that I don't have to take on because my tendency is is if somebody else is not taking accountability for their actions, is in not being self-aware and is not being and is not doing those things that need to happen for growth on their end, I would try to overcompensate on my end in, okay, well, I'm going to explain why they're doing these things and try to show empathy and compassion and do all of these things. And I would actually I would try harder to hold myself accountable and accept their accountability at the same time without them ever being accountable. And I know that sounds really weird, but if they're not going to be accountable for their actions, I would actually overcompensate by trying to do more on my end to be healthier, to approach it in a healthy way. And the reality is two things can exist in the same space. I can take accountability for myself and the actions that I do, and I can also be a victim of somebody's lack of accountability, and it and that it's still not okay, and that I may never get the accountability um, that I need and that I deserve, but that's not on me. And that's the big lesson on I am here and now I want to move forward is discovering for me how I've helped move, how I have slowly, small baby steps have moved forward. Um, Out of the trauma and out of the growth and out of the just shit. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep calling it shit. I know I should be calling it something like trauma and I should be but this is my show. I'll do whatever I want. Um, what has helped me is understanding that and accepting that I may never get the accountability and the vulnerability and the apologies and the true change that the other person needs to do. I may never get that. And that's a very painful thing. It is very, very painful. It is very painful when somebody, somebody will, I don't want to say never, but it's somebody, the likelihood of that person actually doing the work and having the self awareness of how their actions affected other people, that the likelihood of them doing that is next to nothing. When all you want in that, when you're doing your trauma healing and you're doing your work, when all you want is just for them to acknowledge that they hurt you and how badly they hurt you. And I sat with that for a very long time, for years and years and years with multiple people. I'm just that hope. That hope. And I think that's where hope sometimes hinders you. It has hindered me and kept me stuck. Um, because that hope that that person would realize how much they hurt me, with that hope that that person would realize that I'm a good person, that I'm not a bad person, that I am wonderful and deserving of love and how they screwed that up. And I think when I still struggle with it for sure. But I think when I got to the point that acceptance of I'm sitting here, I am literally standing in this spot waiting for them to wake up, waiting for them to come to the realization, waiting for that other person to grow and to catch up. I was just standing still and waiting and not moving forward in my growth. And so I had to accept that this is where I'm at and this is where they're at. That's where they're at. And I may never get what I deserve. And I have to be okay with that. I have to accept that. And I have to accept that not because they are off the hook, because they're certainly not. They are still in my head. They are still accountable for their actions. But I have to stop waiting for them and I have to start moving forward. So when I came to that point of, I'm never going to get that. I'm never going to get that accountability. I'm never going to get the apology that I deserve. They're not going to wake up one day and just think, oh shit, I was a terrible human to them. They're not, I hurt them really badly and they're not going to feel that remorse. They may. I hope so. Will it be absolutely healing for me if they did? Yeah, but they won't. And I accept that. And that's me going, I'm not wait it's like you're waiting on a blind date or you're waiting on a date that never shows up. You're like, "Okay, well, I'm done waiting. I'm done standing right here. I need to move forward. I need to move on." And that's sometimes incredibly painful. No, not sometimes, usually, at least for me, very, very painful because with my attachment issues and my abandonment issues and things that I am now working on and aware of, I don't want to let go. I don't want to let go because I do want to believe the good in people and here help with the imposter syndrome. Uh, Maybe not everyone, but if someone who's unwilling to come forward and ask for forgiveness never gets to that, then I never have to get the point of acceptance on your part either. Facts. And okay, so okay, so I'm going to all right, sorry, I paused because I told you I did some research because I'm an intelligent hoe, and, I decided to bring in some actual, like, research and shit into our show, not just me talking on my ass. Um, Post-traumatic growth, okay, I'm I'm going to read some of this because God knows but the cultural story about trauma has a clear arc. It breaks you, healing fixes you, you return to baseline. Um, that's the story so pervasive. Most people don't question it. But decades of peer reviewed research tells a fundamentally different story um, about trauma and healing from trauma. Um, Post-traumatic growth is not the same as resilience, and the distinction between those matters. Um, Resilience is the ability to bounce back. And I don't know how many times, and I do honestly believe this in myself as well. I am, and they've told me, I am very resilient. I have survived, not only survived, but I have also, like, I have survived things that would have destroyed people and have almost destroyed me. I I have a deep, deep sense of resilience. It is one of the things that though I, sometimes I hate that's like people's like, you're resilient. Yeah. It makes me seem a lot stronger than I am. Because most people think, well, you're resilient. You've bounced back from worse. That doesn't mean that the hurt doesn't hurt right now, but that's beside the point. Um, Being resilient is getting the shit kicked out of you, getting your face m metaphorically, um, punched in, or even sometimes literally. I mean, those of us who know. Um, but coming back from that, surviving that, not letting that traumatic moment and that trauma, that long-term trauma define you, or you just come back from it. Um, but post traumatic growth describes something categorically different. People who grow past their pre trauma baseline entirely into new levels of functioning, meaning, and capacity that were not available to them before. So, for those of you who need a little bit more clarification, um, resilience is you getting knocked down and you get back up. You're the same person, you return to the same person baseline. Post traumatic growth is you get knocked down, you get back up, and somehow you can see things from up here that you couldn't see before. Same person, different attitude. And I have done both. I have done both. So resilience is something knocked you back, you come back to what you were. Um, Post traumatic growth is somebody knocked you back and you not only come back to what you were, but you move forward from that. You learn from your mistake. You learn from the trauma. You decide you don't like, oh, I'm just back to normal. You're not normal anymore. You understand you're not normal anymore. And you take that you take that punch to the face and you go, I'm going to learn how to bob and weave. I'm going to learn how to defend myself. I'm going to learn how to how to avoid just getting punched in the face. Whereas in resilience is, I got punched in the face. Okay. And now I'm just going to stand here and not learn anything, not do anything differently. You're just coming back to that. Both are, both have its place. I am not saying being resilient and resilience is less than um, PTG. I'm not, because both have their place. Because sometimes you don't need to grow out of things. Sometimes you're already strong enough. You just need to survive. Um, but it's knowing the difference between the two. Um, and I think that's a very big and important thing for me, um, is understanding that s- helping people like this is also a sign of growth. Thanks, Gaming Wolf. Um, I try. Uh, and I try to be as transparent about myself as possible. And not like I'm preaching at you. I try not to, because honestly, this one's really hard for me because um, sometimes, especially when you have spent a lot of your life being told you are the problem and consistently being told that, you know, things would only be better if you just changed your mindset. It's it's hard. It's hard to see the growth sometimes, especially when you keep getting punched in the face and you're getting back up and you're trying to put, especially when you're like me and you're trying to do things the healthy way and you're trying to learn how to block the punches and dodge and weave and before you even get punched in the face, trying to just avoid that in general. It's no soapbox. I'm we'll see. Wait, hold please. We're still early in this. We're only halfway through this. We're good. Um, Paragon said another factor of growth is not only understanding that for yourself, but understanding you can't be proverbial emotional punching bag for people. Yes. That isn't kindness. Oh, that was oh God. It's when you learn. It is when you fucking learn that you don't have to take the punches for those people. And that the only reason the people are throwing punches at you in the first place is because they have unhealed trauma. That's fucking and then you're like they're so used to just standing there, you standing there, if we're going to use this whole punching metaphor or like comparison, it's like and you're used to just standing there going, "Go ahead, hit me. Go ahead, I understand. Oh, they didn't mean it. They just and you just go, "No. No, no, no. You need to heal your shit. I am no longer going to but that's very and especially in the first couple of times you stand up for yourself and you say, "No, I'm not going to let you continue to do the same thing that you've done for years and years and years, and I what you are doing is wrong and incorrect, and I will you will be accountable, and I am setting this boundary and holding this boundary," is the most nerve-wracking and like, you think it would be very like, you have that split second of where you hold that boundary and you feel, like, empowered for a split second. And then your fucking trauma comes in and goes, "You like this." I don't know about you, but for me, okay, I'm speaking my personal experience, like, you hold that boundary and you go, "No, I'm not gonna do this," and then this you're like, "Yeah, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling feisty," and then all of a sudden this, like, whole body experience of absolute terror sets in, going, "Fuck, what did I just do? What did I just do?" I mean, I did the healthy thing. I know I'm doing the right thing, but why do I feel like I'm in danger? Why? Oh, that's right, because every single time I've done this before, I've been in danger. Ah! Jay's Bat of Healing. I wish we had Jay's Bat of Healing for real. I need that in my life. I need the random acts of kindness and Jay's Bat of Healing. That would make the best D&D weapon group ever. I'm killing them with kindness. Anyway, I got off a little sidetrack because ADD. Um, Super Sledge of Salvation. I like that too. But my current D&D character, the one I'm developing, has this, homebrew weapon called the Random Axe of Kindness, and it's an axe. It's a bejeweled axe. It's enchanted. It's amazing. I'm so excited about being able to use it. Um but back to the scientific research. Post traumatic growth is measurable, documented, and reproducible across cultures and populations. So, the validated psychological instrument developed by Tedeschi and Calhoun, I'm hoping I'm saying those correctly, has been used in hundreds of studies across diverse populations, including cancer survivors, combat vets, bereaved parents, survivors of natural disasters, and people navigating divorce and relationship loss. This is not an antidote, this is a pattern. Um, and so this is a um the study and this instrument has been used across it's anything that has is a major trauma, and major trauma can for everyone looks very very different. So this whole post traumatic growth is measurable. It is something that is a pattern of behaviors that we often change, but you can't grow from that without acknowledging the trauma. And that's the difference, I think, is the real big thing is you can't grow without taking accountability and acknowledging the trauma and acknowledging, at least for myself, again, at least for myself, acknowledging all of the feelings that come with that trauma, the loss, the grief, the anger. Oh my God, the anger. And I think that's the one that so many people, like my past relationships, my growing up, like in my familial relationships, I wasn't allowed to get angry. And every time I was allowed to get angry, because as somebody who my trauma superpower is recognizing patterns of behavior and um recognizing things that are patterns, not just offset behaviors, and getting angry about it, especially when you know you're getting lied to and just and deceived and manipulated. And even when everything comes to light, even when confronted with the truth and hard facts and hard, just the receipts, when you come with receipts and they still just tell you you're not allowed to be angry, and then they give you all of the reasons about why you're not allowed to be angry. And of course, me being my fucking traumatized self and the people pleaser that I am, I'm over here going, well, maybe they're right. But they're not right. I'm allowed to be angry about their behavior when their behavior is toxic and all of these things. But when you're growing from that trauma, you have to acknowledge all of the feelings, and that nobody wants to feel bad. Scratch that, rewind, reworded. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to relive the trauma. I don't want to relive the pain that that other person put me through, the lies that they told me, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the Darvo. I don't wanna feel the hurt and the anger and the sadness and the grief. I don't wanna feel those things. I just wanna move on. I'm gonna be real honest. I feel like I just wanna move on. Why can't I just move on? And I think especially in some of the situations, like, I don't understand. But that's the healthy part. I can just move on. I can just act like nothing's happening, everything's fine, and the past doesn't exist, and I can just mask up and pretend and do all of these things. I have before, but this is where my growth comes in, and I think it sucks really badly, like, very badly. Um, but I don't want to not feel. I don't wanna just move past it. I wanna grow out of it, and that's how I know that I'm different. I don't wanna just forgive and forget. I don't. I wanna forgive, but not because the other person deserves forgiveness, but because I deserve that. I deserve to let go. But in knowing that I would desperately love to just let bygones be bygones and let things go, that's not healthy. Because eventually, because I did that for many, many years and decades, um, I as much as I would just like to just act like it doesn't exist, um, doesn't mean that that's the healthy way of doing things. And so for me to grow out of the trauma, for me to grow out because I have been convinced that because I am wanting to let somebody to hold somebody accountable for how they treated me and how they hurt me, then that makes me bitter, that makes me angry, that makes me whatever. But that's not it. The reality is that I I want to grow out of this, which means that doesn't look pretty. And that doesn't look pretty for me. And that doesn't look pretty for the other person. It's not a pretty process. It's not nice and neat, and it sucks. And I would love to just move on. I would. I really would. And I'm working on moving forward, but I'm not ever gonna move on because moving on is I don't for me, not healthy. I'm gonna move forward. I'm going to know that the pain and the hurt and the trauma, that that wound is always gonna be there, and that knowledge is always gonna be there, and it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna suck. Even when I think back on looking on it, it's still gonna hurt, but it's making me who I am, and it has taught me a whole lot about myself and a lot about what my core values are about who I am. So just moving on and acting like that doesn't exist is robbing me of a foundation for something better. Um, Paragon, do you have any tips for people who are wading in those trauma infested waters and need a life jacket when they think they can swim just fine? Okay. Do I have any tips? Um, Possibly, but again, I'm going to repeat myself on be very emphatic about this is that I am not a healthcare professional. So the what I am going to say are tools that I used for myself. They are things that I have used and failed and tried again because that's what they teach you, especially in DBT, is like not every tool works in the same situation. So that's why we have a toolbox of different skill sets. Um, because what worked in this situation may not work in this other situation. And sometimes you just got to start keeping pulling shit out of your toolbox. Um but first off, I want to say when they think they can swim, you can swim just fine. And sometimes if I'm being quite honest, sometimes it still feels like you're drowning. Thanks, Dogmeat. But sometimes it does still feel like you're drowning. And sometimes you have to understand that that's where a support system really comes in handy. That I didn't learn until much recently. That's where vulnerability isn't going to be used as a weapon against you. That's where vulnerability is important. Um, because when you let people in and see every part of the darkest part of you, it's scary. Especially for those of us who have had our vulnerability weaponized against us. But Um, when the trauma infested waters and it's stormy and the waves are just too strong, and all you're doing is just holding on and trying to keep your head above water, that's when the support system is really important. Um, and yeah, I did a gaming wolf. But for me, I have people in my life who have seen the darkest parts of me and seen me at my worst and my angriest, and I can still reach out and go, "I'm drowning." I have said that, Paragon. I have messaged them and go, "I am drowning right now." And they reach back out and they say, "We've got you. You're not gonna drown, and you're not alone, but you've got a kick." They don't save me. They support me because they know I can swim. They know I'm strong enough to keep myself afloat, but they also know that I can get tired. And they're there just to give me that little extra support that I need to keep fighting and to keep from drowning. And I feel really sorry. I feel really sorry for anyone who doesn't have a support system like that. One where I don't have to try to figure out what story of myself I used to, God. Nobody knew the whole truth. Everybody knew half truths. Nothing it's just that. And that's how I know I've grown from my trauma. Because I used to feel, and I'm not very proud of this. I used to be in a place where I just had to manage my image. I had to manage and lie and make sure that things were what they seemed and keep the status quo. And um, so hiding things from certain people, hiding things from a lot of different people, hiding how I felt, hiding things that I did, hiding things because, it just a whole lot. It was a lot of juggling what person I was trying to portray to what group of people. And we got all of you friends, but we need you all to hang on and just exactly. They can't pull me up. They can't save me. They can't save me. And I think that's where my big growth is I used to want people to save me, which put me in fucking massively unhealthy situations. Um and a lot of unhealthy relationships, toxic as fuck relationship. If you're out there trying to rescue somebody, save somebody, white knight somebody, or you're thinking somebody's going to white knight you and save you, no one can save you but yourself. However, you can have somebody assist in the save. That's the difference. You can save yourself, but you don't have to be alone while you do it, and that is the difference between healthy and toxic. I had to learn that lesson the hard way. Um, but you're not a Dan, you are a dragon. Right. I am not a damsel in distress. I hate that. I hate when people say, "Hey, you act like a damsel in distress." No, the fuck, I'm not. I'm just fucking hurting. Um, but yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm drowning. And sometimes I don't want to talk about it. I just need somebody to know that I'm drowning. I just need somebody to know that I'm not okay. And in just being able to reach out and be transparent and honest with somebody and them knowing that I'm struggling is enough. Um, I've had people Um, Paragon, when the trauma waters and you're drowning in the trauma waters, I've had people like sit on the phone with me for hours. And they took shifts. They took shifts. Um, just so I wasn't alone. Uh, I sat and I didn't they even sat on the phone while I was sleeping, just so that if I woke up that I was still there. Uh, and I'm not saying that that happens all the time. That was a very that only happened a couple times and in some extreme cases. But just knowing that somebody's there. Um, but I think the big thing I love Max. Max is so cute. Blue Ellie. Gaming Wolf has a corgi named Max. Blue Ellie has a corgi too. um, but back to what I was saying. Sorry, my ADD moment. I know, yay corgis. I'm just reading through the chat. I lost my train of thought now. I got thinking about corgis. Sorry. Ah, I got thinking about corgi booties. They're so cute and fluffy. You can't be sad looking at corgi. You can't. Um, I don't know where I was at. So you know what? We're just gonna keep moving. I know something was poignant in what I was saying. I'm sure there was, but I mean, who can be sad at corgi butt? Potato dogs, right? Corgi train of flip. What's right? Maybe that's the universe's way of telling me you were getting too serious. Corgi butts. Um. Okay, but the last part of this whole post-traumatic growth is PTSG or PTG is not toxic positivity or that saying everything happens for a reason. Okay. Um, PTG does not require that you be glad that the hard things happened or that you frame it as a gift. How many of you have done that? How many of you have tried to be like, "Oh, this happened. Everything happens for a reason." Oh, especially for those of us who grew up in the church. Yeah. But also, that toxic fucking positivity of everything happens for a reason. This is just the season of life that you're going to fuck you. Like, I don't want to be grateful. Um, so anyway, it says it simply describes what is documented to happen in people who genuinely engage in their experience rather than avoiding it. The suffering is real. The growth is real. They are not in contradiction, and nobody is asking you to be grateful for what broke you. And I am going to say that again because I am going to be, I'll fucking die on this goddamn fucking hill because I'm fucking tired of everything being like, okay, whatever. Nobody is asking you to be grateful for what broke you. Post-traumatic growth is not that whole everything happens for a reason and I'm grateful that this terrible thing happened to me. If that happens, I'm saying if you get to that point, great. But I am so oh, okay, here's a rant. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna get some hydration. This is actually water. And a rant. All right, we ready? We ready for this? A fucking minute, right? Okay, here we go, Blue Ellie. I fucking hate it. I hate it. Nothing makes me feel worse about myself when I sit here and I start talking about my trauma, about the things that are hurting me, about the things that other people did wrong to me that are the fucking truth that I have receipts on. And then people coming up to me and fucking telling me, you should be grateful for that. Like, look at how much you've grown since then. I don't have to be fucking grateful because something bad happened to me. You know what? And then it makes me feel all fucking broken, like I'm not growing, that I am not healing, that I am not healed. Oh, again, this is in the past 2 months, this is what I've been trying to do because because I am over here trying to be healed and trying to come from a place of healing, especially when something really shitty is being done to me, done to people I love, and really somebody's behavior is toxic and all of these things. I am over here trying to convince myself that maybe I am not doing the things because I am not. I am angry because I am sad because I am grieving and maybe I don't. And you convince yourself that you know, y- fucking hate it. Okay. The reality is that I'm allowed to be angry about some shitty behavior. I'm allowed to be angry about toxic behavior that is affecting me and affecting the people I love. I'm allowed to be sad when somebody did something that made me sad and hurt me. I'm allowed to be those things. But that does not mean in any way, shape, or form mean that I am not moving forward from that, because the fact of the matter is that shitty thing happened to me. That shitty thing, it makes me angry every single time I think about it. And yes, I fucking grew from it. But I'm sitting here and I'm still, every time I think about it, it still makes me fucking angry. That doesn't mean I'm not healing. That doesn't mean that I'm not coming from a place of health. It doesn't mean that I'm coming from a place of that I haven't grown as a person mentally or emotionally. It just means and acknowledging and accepting that what that person did was fucking shitty. It should have never happened. It hurt me and it hurt the people I love, and I'm allowed to be angry about it, but that doesn't mean that I have to sit here and act like forgive and forget to make me a fucking healed person. Because here's the reality. I don't want to be fucking grateful for the abuse, the manipulation, the lies, the darvo. I don't want to be grateful for any of that, because the reality is I didn't want any of that in the first place. I don't deserve any of that. I didn't deserve any of that. I didn't deserve to be treated like that. And I'm not going to be grateful because it happened to me and it made me a stronger person. I would have much preferred to become a stronger person by the healthy, productive things, just like my children. My children are strong and emotionally healthy, and they're mentally strong, and they know what's right or wrong, and they didn't have to go through 75% of the trauma that I went through. So it is possible to grow and become a strong, resilient, and amazing human being without having to grow out of the fucking abuse and shit. So no, I will not be grateful for all of the bad things that happened to me. No, I will not. And no, I will not forgive and forget. And no, I will not be like, oh, well, I said I'm sorry. So, we're going to act like I don't understand why you can't let it go. Why can't I let it go? Why can't I let it go? One, because you're not actually being accountable. And two, because you fucking hurt me. You hurt me. What you did was terrible, and you hurt me. And here's the thing that I said. For those of you who have never done the chair technique is when you have an empty chair across from you and you are talking to the person that has committed whatever trauma or done whatever trauma that you're working on. And this is the one thing that I said that I still hold on to. Not just for the person I was doing the chair thing on, but for people. For people that I'm working on my current traumas with is that I didn't become a better person because of you and because of what you did. I became a better person in spite of you and in spite of what you did and what you tried to do. And that doesn't make me better or worse than anybody else, but that just means I'm not going to sit here and be grateful that I learned these lessons. I'm not. And that doesn't make me bitter. That doesn't make me angry. That doesn't make me bitter. That doesn't mean I'm holding on to the trauma. It just means that I'm gonna call a spade, and I'm not gonna try to, like, try to make something that was awful better than what it was, because it makes you more comfortable if I do that. It makes you more comfortable if I pretend like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad," or if I make you more comfortable if I just, "You're a different person now, I'm just gonna let it go." No. No, I'm not. Am I gonna move forward? Am I going to not hold on to that and not concentrate on that part of my life so that I can grow and move on? Absolutely. But what I'm not gonna do is just let you have a free pass because I decided to move on, because the reality is that scar, that wound, that trauma will always and always will exist. Just because I know how to navigate it, just because I know how to that I have a different reaction, just because I learned how to be a better person, regulate myself better, just because that trauma doesn't affect me in the snap of a finger does not mean that that trauma will never exist again, because it exists. You can't unring the bell. You can't unhurt somebody. You can't make the scar go away. And I'm not going to be grateful that I have it. Thanksgiving, thanks, Blue Ivy. But yeah, it happens for a reason. Look how much a better person you are. Fuck you. I think it's just such it's so when somebody says everything happens for a reason and you're a better person because of it, but you should be grateful that that happened to you because, you are stronger because of it. No, actually, let me tell you what the reality is. The reality is I am not stronger because of it. Actually, because of it, um I have trauma because the bad thing happened to me. I never will look at people or relationships or whatever the same way again. It happened. I am a better person because I chose to grow in spite of what it did to me, because of what it did to me. I did not become a better person because it happened. I became a better person because I choose to grow because of what it did to me, and I made a choice. I fucking hate that. I fucking like you wanna send me into a spiral, it was like also when I was like a mom. Okay, for those of you who are parents who have had children, or even okay, let's just say, Brene Brown talks about this. It's empathy. It's that empathy part of it where, somebody goes, I'll have to share it in the Discord. Maybe I find it at the end of the show. It's like this YouTube video. It's like it talks about empathy. And like for those of you who are parents and you are just the kids, maybe they're sick, maybe they're going through that fussy phase, they're teething, they're not sleeping or whatever, and you're just exhausted and you haven't showered for days, or they've been sick and you're just like you are just at the end of your rope. And you're just, somebody like an older parent, an older person who has older kids, they like you're talking about how you're just frustrated, you don't know what to do, you're at the end of the rope, and they look at you and go, "Well, just be grateful for these times. You'll miss them when they're not there anymore." Do I miss when my kids are babies? Yes. And toddlers? Yes. I do. I do. Because they were cute babies. They were fun babies. But there were times where I was just at my wit's end. I was juggling 2 kids by myself a lot, a lot. And it's just I kept getting told, "Well, just enjoy it now because 'cause you'll miss it when it's when it's gone." I have never felt more invalidated and then guilty because I didn't feel grateful. And the reality is I do miss when they're gone, and but I don't miss the sleepless nights and the fact that I can't just go, "Hey, I want a shower." I'm jaded because of it, and I'm a bigger bitch now, and, oh, yeah, I'm a better person too. Exactly. Exactly. That's the thing. Um, ooh, but for those of my North Carolina people, okay, I'm gonna read, like, the psychologists, because Tedeschi and Calhoun are from the University of North Carolina in Charlotte. Right? Two psychologists at the UNC Charlotte decided to study the people who came out the other side of terrible things and thought, wait, something interesting is happening here. And they were right. And now we know things. That's how science works. So, here's the tech part for them. So, my tech people, yay. Parenting needs to come with instructions, Lord. But here's the reality though. I'm the type of person that even if it did come with instructions, I would only look at it when I was like, things were falling apart. So, um, in oh, awesome, baby. So here's the technical part. In the mid 1900s, 1990s. It is the 1900s. I know everybody feel old about that. Um, Two psychologists at UNCC, Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun, started studying something. Ironically, they were studying at the same time I was in high school. Okay, we're not even gonna go there. Okay. Um, started studying something most researchers weren't paying attention to. Everyone was studying trauma's damage. Okay. Everyone was studying the damage of trauma, what breaks, what gets disrupted, what gets disordered, and what matters. But Tedeschi and Calhoun were asking a different question. They were asking, what happens to the people who don't just survive, but come out genuinely different on the other side? Different in ways that surprise even the individual. What they found became one of the most important frameworks in modern trauma psychology. They called it post traumatic growth. And what they found completely contradicts the cultural story. People don't heal back to who they were before, they heal forward into someone they couldn't have even been without having the trauma in the first place. They evolved like Pokemon, right? So the reality is that healing doesn't return you back to zero. Healing healing from the trauma, healing from anything, you heal forward. And just like it said, they heal forward into someone they couldn't have been without going through the trauma they experienced. You are now a person that is completely different. Even if it's, like I said, baby steps are still babies. You're healing forward. And, but again, just because I heal forward and I've become a different person because of the trauma, doesn't mean that I'm grateful for that shit. It doesn't mean I'm grateful for that shit. Am I a good person now? Yeah. Have I have I done a lot of work and survived a lot of a lot of garbage? Yeah. Would I have preferred not to go through any of that? Abso-fucking-lutely. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go through these really quick because I find this really interesting, and I think maybe you guys will too. Because we're adding some smartness into this show right now, just not my trauma. Um, personal strength. There are 5 domains in this. Domain one, personal strength. People who experience PTG consistently report discovering they are stronger than they believed in themselves to be. Um, when you're going through the trauma, you realize that you're able to survive more than you thought you were able to survive. Terrible, they said, great news. Terrible delivery system would not recommend the curriculum, but the results are real. Um, Two, the strength is qualitatively different from pre-adversity confidence. So, before going through something hard, confidence is often based on the assumption that things will basically go okay. Post adversity strength is based on the knowledge that you've already handled something you didn't think you could, which is fundamentally a more durable foundation. So it's that one of those things is like you have confidence because you know everything's gonna be fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Is a very different set of confidence and strength than I've survived worse. We got this. It's a totally different feeling. And for anybody who has suffered trauma and has worked their way through it, you guys know what that is. Because I know. I know what that's like. I mean, everything should be fine. And now I'm just like, I've been through fucking worse. What's the worst that can happen? Like, what's the worst that can happen? Um, Domain two is new possibilities. PTG research documents the emergence of possibilities that literally did not exist or were not visible in the person's pre adversity life. Um, New categories of living, new paths, new way of seeing things. Um, oh my God. Okay. And there is I'm fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Dumpster fire, right? There's also a physics parallel worth naming. The observer effect describes how where you stand determines what you see. PTG operates on a similar principle. Significant adversity moves you to a fundamentally different vantage point from which things that were always there become newly visible. You didn't create the possibilities that were in front of you. You moved somewhere where you could see them. So it's like you start seeing people differently. You start seeing your job differently. You start seeing your values and what's important differently. Does that make sense? So the people are the same, the job is still the same, your values are the same as they were, but because of this traumatic event and the fact that you're going through it, all of a sudden they look different to you. They are different to you because you are different. Perception is reality. That is one of my favorite rhymes. Okay. Domain three in the post traumatic growth is relating to others, is how you relate to others. Research consistently shows that PTG deepens relationships, but through a specific mechanism. Adversity functions as a filter. The people who show up become more important and more real. Relationships sustained by performance or pretense, AKA this person isn't really fake. They're just trying to perform, that, and they're not really digging deep into that. The relationships with that type of person becomes difficult. This is both a loss and a clarification, and both of these things are true at the same time. So you can then know this person isn't real and they're not showing up real, and the behaviors and what they're saying are performative, and maybe they don't deserve a place in my life anymore. It still hurts. um People experiencing PTG report losing tolerance for superficial connection and gaining capacity for genuine intimacy. I'm going to say that again, folks, because that's where I am in my life. People experiencing post-traumatic growth lose tolerance for superficial connection and gain capacity for genuine intimacy. So the relationships that you have post trauma, when you work through the trauma, when you get to the other side as this person, when you heal forward, the relationships, those people who've done the work, the relationships you have are on a much deeper, stronger level, that your tolerance for the performative bullshit goes to the wayside. And you can call, and honestly, I don't know, for me, myself, personally, I can clock it from a mile away. Fuck that guy. She's fake as shit. And honestly, I would rather have a smaller circle that I can breathe around than try to watch the circus. Um, so and then apparently we're pulling in more psychologists. Kristen Neff's self-compassion research adds an important dimension to the relationship aspect of post-traumatic growth. Her work shows that as people develop genuine self compassion, I know it's something that we're all struggling against. I know it's something that I am struggling with. The capacity to turn toward their own suffering without judgment. I'm going to say this again. Self compassion is the ability to turn toward their suffering and shame without judgment. I know, gross, I know. But those people who develop genuine self-compassion, they also develop expanded capacity for compassion towards others. PTG and self-compassion development tend to occur together and reinforce each other. So, when you go through a traumatic event, when you are dealing with all the trauma, when you're really when you are really facing it, you understand self-compassion and what self-compassion is not is going, I know I did the thing. I'm a different person now. So I'm not going to worry about it because I'm not, I would never do that again. That is not self-compassion. Again, that is avoidance. A lot of people try to twist avoidance, self accountability. They avoid accountability. They avoid like the trauma. They try to twist avoidance into looking like self compassion or forgiveness. Those are not the same things. They are not. Um, so yeah, there you go. So, um, PTG, post traumatic growth, and self compassion, they go hand in hand because you, again, are able to face, you are able to sit with, as we like to call them, sit with our demons and not shame ourselves, one, for having the demons, two, being allowing ourselves to have the feelings because the demons exist and not necessarily being, oh, I'm glad you're here. You made me a better person. No, you're able to still fucking hate the demons that you're sitting with, but you don't judge them for being there. And that's growth. That's real change. That's healing forward. That's not denying that that the demons shouldn't exist. The demons don't exist. The demons exist. You're just able to sit with them and understand they're not going anywhere. And there's nothing that I can do about it. And I'm not going to feel bad that the demons exist. But I don't have to like that the demons exist. And that's a very delicate balance, and it's not always achievable. But we do try. That's that's where growth comes in. That's where the compassion comes in. That's where we become better people after our trauma. If they eat all my food and need to pay rent, facts, get me off. All right, so domain 4, another section domain of the post-traumatic growth is the fourth domain is the appreciation for life. Okay, the fourth domain describes a shift in how ordinary life registers with you, not as a spiritual awakening, but as a perception change. Okay. It is not a spiritual awakening. It is not you finding God. Now, if you find God, bless you. I mean, whatever, go and find God. But or whatever deity you want to. But people who experience PTG report that small moments land differently. The texture of regular, unremarkable life becomes more vivid. This isn't gratitude as a practice. It's a change in baseline perception that happens as consequences of processing, not in effort. So, Like, the funny thing is, this is the domain why people who have been through something hard will sometimes completely lose it over a good cup of coffee or a parking spot. It's not that the coffee is better, it's just the filters change. Okay, so I have a great example about this. All right, here's another fun Anna rant. Okay, all right. So, when I started streaming in 2020. Okay. So, and then I started gaming. And I was also around that time, it was a couple of years later that I started doing my hard, intensive trauma work, deep trauma work. That's when I was going to therapy. I was also going to group. I was doing like therapy like 3 times a week at one point. So I was really doing some hardcore trauma work. And what happened is that when you start doing that, my view of life did become different. Again, like I said before, what I valued was different. What brought me joy was different. I then started to embrace, and here's where the PTG for me happened, is that I started getting excited about the things that excited me. And I know that that sounds really stupid, but I spent a lot of time trying to be the beige mom. I tried to be excited about antiquing. I tried to be excited about making everything look, a certain way. I tried to be excited about the things that normal moms got excited about. I don't know. Often because I got ridiculed for getting excited about the little things and the small things. Um, and then as time came by or went by, and the more I healed, the more I'm like, fuck it. Fuck it. I want to get excited about fucking look how pretty these dice are. Look how cute this stuffed animal is. Or look at this game that I'm playing. Like or for those of you who know, like purple paper clips. Getting excited because I found a purple paper clip. And long story short, for those of you who don't know, I had back when I was in college, I was in a very deep, hard um, trauma trigger episode, very depressive episode. And then one time I was working on a project for a summer project with one of my friends, and we were paper clipping things together. And I found a purple paperclip, and purple's my favorite color. And something in that moment, I just started to laugh and I got so excited. I was just like, it's a purple paperclip. Look how awesome this paperclip is. The friend that was with me thought I was totally insane. Totally insane. He was like, yeah, it's a purple paperclip. But in that moment, it brought me so much joy. Um, I did get new dice. I did get new dice. They're downstairs. They're downstairs in my money bag. But that purple paperclip in that moment brought me joy. And it seemed small and it was very insignificant to any outside observer. But to me, it was that thing that I needed in that moment to remind me that there are things that are good and that are pretty, and that to remind me of things. And I don't know why I got really excited about a purple paper clip in amongst of a whole bunch of pile of different color paper clips. But for that moment, it brought me joy. And that's what this means, is that your appreciation for life changes the more you work on your trauma. The more you work on your trauma, you realize that there are parts of yourself. Life lands differently. And that's okay. And yeah. Oh, so Martin Sigmund's PERMA model identifies savoring as a core component of a human well-being. PTG research suggests this capacity for savoring expands naturally as a consequence of genuine adversity processing. You don't have to manufacture gratitude. You just need to start feeling it without engineering it. Okay. And so that's what savoring is. Savoring is not going, fuck, I need to be grateful for the good things in my life, which, yes, I have a gratitude journal. I have, we need to point out the good things in our life, but we also need to recognize and just sit. How often, even in the beginning of this podcast, have I said, I need to recognize the good things? I need to sit in the good needs. I need to acknowledge the good things and the good people in my life. I don't need to force myself to be grateful for these things. I just need to acknowledge and recognize these things. That's the difference. The difference in between savoring and manufacturing gratitude is just acknowledging the good things and the good people that you have in your life and going, you know what? This is a good thing in my life and I am so grateful for it. Not, okay, this person hasn't done something wrong to me, so I should be grateful for it. Mm-mm. So last domain, domain 5, spiritual or existential change. The fifth domain is the broadest and often the most lasting, a fundamental shift in the framework through which a person understands what life is for. This does not require, I'm going to say this loudly for people in the back, this does not require a religious belief. It describes the deep orienting values that shape what a person decides matters, what to spend energy on, and who they want to be with. Major adversity burns off the non essential and leaves a clearer signal. You find out what is real for you. So when it says spiritual or existential change, what it really is saying is that it is in a framework of what your values and who you are. And I can tell, I can tell you what this one says. This domain often shows up as a clarification of values rather than a dramatic transformation. People don't come out of adversity with an entirely new philosophy of life. They come out with a much clearer sense of which part of their previous values were real and which were inherited, performed, or fear-based. The adversity doesn't create new values. It reveals the ones that were always there. And this one's a big one for me. And this is actually one that I'm dealing with, that I am really coming to terms with, that I'm really trying to find, because I can tell you this, our favorite game, is it our trauma or is it my personality? That's our favorite famous game. Um, but for me, when I was dealing with when I am dealing with post traumatic growth, what I think when I first really started understanding what was stripped away, in regards to what my beliefs about myself and what was important and what my values were, what was trauma and fear based, what was somebody else told me I should value versus what I actually valued, were very different things. And when I was started to go through the trauma work and the healing work, I remember, and I've said this before on the show, I don't know who I am right now. I don't, I don't know. I don't, I don't know. Is anything real? And in working through my trauma and in continuously addressing the things that I need to address, I've gotten to the point to where I understand that what I value and what I want to protect about myself, what I hold dear as a person, as how I want to be as a mother, as I want to be as a partner, those things, those things used to holding dear to those are more important than me being afraid that other person won't like me and that it might hurt the other person or that the other person might get angry, because that's what was keeping me from my core values. And what I realized in doing my trauma work is that those toxic narcissistic people are going to get angry, because regardless of whether I hold my values or not. So you know what? Better better to hold my ground than to give in. And I value, because of the trauma that I've been through, I value respect. And honestly, this is going to sound really cheesy. Oh, fuck. So I grew up, side note that actually makes sense. And um, so I grew up, my stepdad had a saying. It was almost like our family motto. And he would say, the three things that we will operate under in this house, which I find wholly ironic because none of us did it, but I do it now. But he used to say honesty, integrity, and respect. And these are the things that are going to move you ahead in life. Later on, I added for myself personally honesty, integrity, respect, and love. Those are the things that will get you through in life. And I used to hate it. I used to hate that saying, but now those are my core values. Those are things that I need more than anything. I need the truth. I need transparency. I need honesty. I hate it when I have to lie or be dishonest. I do. Have I been dishonest and deceitful? Yes. Did I hate myself while I was doing it? Yes. So I'm not saying that I don't do it. I'm not saying that I don't or that I haven't done it. But I think going through what I'm going through, especially currently, these core values, honesty, integrity, respect, and love, those things are the foundation of who I am. And I grew up hating it. I grew up hating it. I thought it was cheesy, but now as somebody who's going through energy, if I'm stripping away everything that honestly is the foundation of who I am. All those four things. Because I want you to be honest with me, even when it hurts, even if it hurts my feelings. I want to be honest with you, even if it scares me. The truth matters. I don't want to hear lies. I don't want to hear omission of the truth. I don't want to hear, well, I didn't. No, tell me the truth and nothing but the truth, even if it hurts. Integrity. Integrity is who you are made up of. Living with integrity, regardless of whether somebody's watching you or not, that's integrity. Integrity is who you are as a person, even when no one's around. If you're only doing things because people are watching, that's not living with integrity. That's performative action. Integrity is who you are when you are alone by yourself. Respect. I can respect somebody and not like them. I respect people. I respect properties. I respect situations. I respect processes. Respect, even if you don't like it, even if it makes you angry, respect. Treating somebody with respect goes a long way. And love. Love. Love is just the foundation of everything I do. And you can love somebody and know that it's not healthy to be with them or around them. You can care about somebody and respect somebody even if you don't agree with their choices. And those are the foundation of who I am. If we're stripping it all down to bare nothing. And that's what I've learned about myself in my trauma work. That the thing that I hated when I was a kid is the thing that is who I am. That's pretty fucking cool. So, anyway, I've run really, really long. This is a long thing to talk about. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with this because this needs to be said. And then actually, I think I want to leave up some of these things in the Discord so that you guys can read it because it's really, really important. And I wish I don't want to go on for 3 hours. I really don't. But this is a really in-depth thing, and it's very interesting, especially for those of us who are doing our trauma work. It is really different. It's really fascinating, the PTG work. And I usually don't encourage people to read but this is something, especially for those of us who are doing our trauma work, it's really encouraging. And so Here's so it's like the twist, the struggle is the mechanism. So here's the part of the PTG does not happen because of the trauma. Okay. Post traumatic growth does not happen because of the trauma. The event itself is not the growth agent. It happens because of the struggle with the trauma. The not looking away part, the sitting in it part, the ugly Tuesday at 2 p.m. when you're in your feelings and would genuinely rather be doing literally anything else, including reorganizing your spice rack, including watching a documentary about something you don't care about, including having a conversation you've been avoiding for 3 weeks. The struggle is the mechanism, not the event. So basically, the trauma is the catalyst. Post-traumatic growth is the response to that catalyst. The reason this is important, Tedeschi and Calhoun were explicit about this distinction in their research. PTG requires what they call deliberate rumination. And for those of us who fucking ruminate over everything, this is really important. The active and intentional cognitive emotional engagement with the difficulty of the experience. This is categorically different from passion rumination, which loops without resolution. So for those of us who have ruminated over things, and those of you who are watching and know what I'm doing, what I'm talking about, and what I've been through in the past few months, they know that like the rumination is like the thoughts go through in your head over and over, and you're just concentrating on those thoughts and the trauma and the things. Deliberate rumination involves asking, what does this mean? Who am I now? And what do I do with these thoughts and this feeling? It is deliberate rumination. So it isn't, again, it is not the fact that you're just sitting there, oh, I'm going to ruminate over this. It is the deliberate response of going, I'm having these thoughts, I'm having these feelings, and sitting in it. People who bypass, numb, or perform their way through adversity do not experience PTG at the same rates. This is documented. I want this to know. Okay, so this is not my personal opinion. This is from what is researched. Avoidance strategies, including positive reframing that hasn't been earned, premature closure, or suppression, are associated with reduced growth outcomes and increased long-term distress. The uncomfortable engagement is not a side effect of the process. It is the process. Suppression is when you put something in a box, tape the box shut, label it, it's fine, and put it in the back of your emotional closet. That can look like drugs. That can look like any addiction. That can look like a new relationship. And then when you walk by that closet every day and pretending it doesn't exist while it slowly takes up more and more room, you know this closet. We all know that closet. Avoidance strategies, including positive reframing, premature closure, or suppression, are associated with reduced growth outcomes. And Daniel Siegel's neuroscience supports this mechanism. His research on neural integration shows that difficult experiences that are avoided or suppressed remain encoded as fragmented, unintegrated material, available to disrupt functioning but not available to generate meaning or growth. Integration, bringing the experience into conscious, narrative, and somatic awareness, is what allows the brain to make new connections. It's not fine. It's not bygones be bygones. It's not let's live and let live. Say it's not fine. The growth comes from the process. The growth comes from the engagement of the discomfort. The growth comes from sitting in the shit and acknowledging the shit and learning how to face the shit. It isn't feeling better. It's growing in the pain. Okay. And quickly, what growing, what not looking away from the trauma looks like. Therapy, specifically the kind where you actually say the thing. Many people go to therapy and manage the session. They present a curated version of what's happening. They protect the therapist from harder material. They perform insight. Not looking away means saying the things you came in rehearsing to not to say. That's the work. So many of us, I've done it too, I'm aware, go in and just they don't want to talk about the hard stuff. They just want to talk about the easy stuff that can be quick fixed. Journaling is processing, not venting. Staying in the body when it wants to leave. Motherfucker, listen, listen. Okay, staying in the body. For those of us who are like massive trauma victims, massive trauma survivors, and have suffered from massive PTSD, let me tell you, the urge, the sickening urge to just disassociate when shit gets hard and emotions get difficult is so fucking real. And when I first started my all my trauma work, I literally had to I remember very distinctly when I I was working on not disassociating, when I was working on staying present, staying in my body, staying in my mind, in the present mind. Sorry, I have a gnat that is flying around my I almost flew my eye twice. Yeah, went really southern just then. But when I was doing that, and I would have to say, I remember very distinctly just gripping the steering wheel, driving. I was driving home for lunch, and I was saying, no. I was like, no, I know it's scary. I know it's scary. I know you want to disappear. I know you don't want to feel this anymore. I know it hurts, but we're going to stay here and we're going to stay present. We're going to do this. And that was me choosing to process the pain because, oh, fuck. And I still do it now. Like there are times where I'm just like, I can feel the tunnel visions start going in. And I'm like, nope, nope, nope. We're not doing this. Sometimes it's so healthy to disassociate, but but when you can, or when I can, I try to stay present, even though it hurts, even though like literally it will physically hurt me. Um, so what the not looking away and intentional rumination looks like also says letting yourself feel the grief instead of converting it immediately into anger or action. Okay. Anger and action create forward momentum and feel productive. Grief is still and quiet and asks nothing of you except for you to be in it. For people who've been in survival mode for a long time, grief is often the hardest emotion to follow because it doesn't feel like it's doing anything. It's the most important thing that you're doing is feeling the grief. Um, so yeah, this is the validation part. The validation part. So if you've been white knuckling your way through processing your actual life, if you've been in therapy or journaling or calling your friend at an unreasonable hour or talking to yourself in the car or lying awake at 2 a.m. feeling things instead of numbing them out, you are doing the thing that actually works. It looks nothing like the montage. There's no montage. There's no spa day. There's no soft lighting. There's no journal or nice handwriting. There's just people who don't quit on themselves. And that's important. When you don't feel the pain, when you don't let yourself feel vulnerable. That's what I think that's what I'm struggling with. I'm honestly, I'm struggling. I know what I'm doing is healthy. And you can ask Beardful Me or Jay or Sean or Blue Ellie. You can ask the people that have been in my life here recently. Um, because I'm doing the thing. I'm doing the healthy thing. I know I am doing the healthy thing. I'm not running. I'm not avoiding. And I don't know how I have lost count of how many times I have looked at them and literally screamed at them. I'm like, I'm fucking tired of doing the healthy thing because I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to hurt anymore. I don't want to face reality anymore. I don't want to do the healthy thing, but I do the healthy thing. I'm doing it. I just don't want to. Because when I watch other people do the unhealthy thing and they seem so happy and like they moved on and everything's fine and like I like over and over and over again. Like, why do I have to do the healthy thing and why does it suck? Why do I have to do the healthy thing? Because I don't shy away from a fight because of my trauma, because of the trauma that I've been through. I do the right thing. I live with integrity. And I'm going to be honest with myself. And I'm going to respect myself. And I'm going to love myself. And that means doing the hard thing. That means being brave. And it sucks. But I've been going at this for 2 hours, and once again, I didn't get through everything, and I just went off on some little rants. Again, I might post this in a Discord because it's like, honestly, I really, you should guys, as most of you know, I really emphasize trauma work. I really, mm, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. It's the hardest thing you will ever do. It will rip into you and it will make you relive some of the hard, and if you're not ready for that, that's totally okay. If that's not the direction your healthcare professional wants you to go. But I know for me, for me, I have changed fundamentally as a person when I stopped acting like the trauma didn't exist and started actually sitting with it. When I started actually working on the trauma, and it isn't me being stuck in the past, it's me wanting to heal and get better for the future. And just ever like that's important. And you know me, and I'm an advocate for especially those who've suffered major trauma. Um, I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Um, but it really does the post-traumatic growth, that growth really does change you as a person. You never go back to who you used to be. And that's okay. And it's okay. And, you know, when I was doing research on this, the saying, do the things today that your future self will thank you for. And that's basically how I'm approaching it right now. I'm doing the hard things, just like I was doing the hard things 3 years ago, so that my future self can go, you did really good. And this is me being grateful. Not because I liked it, not because I look back and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so glad that happened to me," but I'm looking back and I'm like, "I'm glad I didn't give up. I'm glad I didn't back down." And I will be unapologetic about that because the me today is grateful that the past me didn't give up on that. And I hope the future me thanks me today for not giving up now. So, okay, well, I've talked for like 2 hours and I feel like I've said really nothing. And that's like one of those wonderful things that when you're a streamer, I feel like I've just talked around in circles and I have said a lot. I've talked a lot and said nothing, but I hope I really want you guys to like, for those, like I said, for those of you who are doing trauma work, really go look into post-traumatic growth. Um, it's really encouraging. It really is. It's really It's really encouraging. Uh, and it doesn't just apply to like, vets or, major things, but it like divorce, ending of relationships. It really, just any type of grief, any type of major trauma that has happened to you. It's a broad spectrum of what the PTG looks like. And I'd encourage you guys to go look it up. It was very validating for me, to be quite honest. Very validating. Um, I haven't gotten through half of my notes because, again, I just was talking. But so as I wrap this up, so no Lego stream tonight. Sean is packing his life in boxes so he can move to Texas because yeehaw. I don't know. I don't know. I told him he was insane. I if I had a choice between North Carolina and Texas, the only thing I like about Texas and where I am versus North Carolina is like shit doesn't close at like 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Like that's the only thing. I love North Carolina. Um, and Texas has its upsides, but I mean, other than that. So there's no Lego stream tonight. However, we will be back for 3 Bars and a Dragon. My life, I think all of our lives, I don't know if Sean will be, but I think all of our lives is finally settling down off of con shit. And real life, like the kids aren't in school. So, I'm not busy every freaking Tuesday with some type of school obligation because I would, as much as I love you guys, I would much rather be there and for my children than be streaming with the fellas. But hopefully we'll get back on that wagon. I know Bear has on his twitch.tv/great big bear 205. He is now starting his D&D stuff back up, which is great. Did you get the 3D prints from this weekend? I haven't gotten it. Like the 2 extra ones, I did not. I know that Jay and I have ours. Anyway, so we're getting back into the swing of things. Bear's starting to stream again. I might start back streaming solo again. Who knows? As you can tell, I can fill up time by myself. And yeah. So maybe tonight I will stream some gaming stuff. I haven't done that in a long time. But first, I need to clean my house. It is disgusting. But before I go, I would like to say happy Pride to everyone. I went and took my hatchlings to the Houston Pride this week or yesterday, and it was our first real Pride celebration, and it was great. And I was very happy that it's just supporting and just everything. Everybody, it was a place of acceptance. I really. It was really much of a place of acceptance and it's just an overall in general. I think people get a lot of bad ideas about it, but it's not. It was great. It was family friendly. My kids had a great time. I had a great time. So yeah. So happy Pride Month for everyone. And I will see you guys next week. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. Did you really just high five over me?
No, we didn't.
Okay, we're live.
Hey.
Hello.
You don't even do that well from the front seat.
Okay.
The bear's coming with the cup and spoon.
That's a straight up PBR for the table.
Yeah, 3 out 3.
I think it's called.
She ain't judging us at all.